What's up, everybody? We're back with Fit Down Territory this week. It's OTAs, kind of in that lull of the news of the offseason. Like everything flashy, everything hot's kind of happened already. So we're going to talk about each of us are going to give three of our most impactful offseason additions. Could be personnel, could be coaching, could be from the draft, could be from free agency, could be from trading. Doesn't really matter if the team made an addition, we're going to talk about it. We're also going to go into some holdout landing spots, some potential guys who might get moved because they want to get paid. And Bahookie going to give us a little rundown of an NFL scheduling change that could be happening in the near future. Bahookie, why don't you take that away? And let's get this thing
Yeah,
going.
yeah. What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. For everyone who's here or will be tuning in later. Yeah, just so we're in OTA season now. It's kind of exciting in that it's the start of the new year, but also not exciting because we know that this is one of the most boring times of the year in the NFL schedule. But looking ahead to next year already, the new collective bargaining agreement that the NFL is looking at, they're talking about getting rid of OTAs altogether and adding this time to training camp. So instead of reporting at the end of July, teams would be reporting in like mid early July and kind of getting into like that training camp preseason part of the season a little bit earlier. And I don't think anyone would really have any disagreements with that. I guess it's just kind of a matter of getting the rookies into the building a little bit sooner. Would probably be the one thing that I can think of off the top of my head. They'll probably still, I would assume they'd still have rookie mini camp would be one thing, but you want to try and get those rookies acclimated amongst the team sooner rather than later. That's honestly one of the big issues I have right now with the draft set up the way it is. And I always really like when like we go through like the NFL draft process, and then like we also see the NBA doing their thing, and we see the NBA draft lottery and the NBA draft happen like what, a week after the season's over. It makes me just look at over at the NFL side like, what are we doing, fellas? But anyways, that's my 2 cents. What do you guys think about it?
I think that it's the Players Association who's driving this whole thing on this. So from a logistical standpoint, it seems like players, coaches, scouts, that's who this would affect the most. So it's a bit surprising to me, at least, to see the Players Association trying to do this rather than like the league. You know what I mean? So like I
Mhm.
when I first heard, I thought, oh, people are going to be pissed about this. But if it's the PA kind of leading the charge, like you would think their representatives with all the other teams would have like talked about this before trying to make it a motion and pushing it through. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
What do you think,
I'm
Dan?
wonder I'm wondering if it's a bit to do with trying to shift the momentum kind of back in the players' favor in terms of holdouts. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later in the episode. But I think, it's been pretty evident that the players are powerless with these holdouts. Still sounds like it's going to be mostly the same thing where they're going to be losing an exorbitant amount of money, by staying out of these practices and also, missing any type of preseason action. But I feel like with OTAs not starting until later, maybe there's less to be fined on. Some of these older players that aren't going to make it to OTAs anyways, that maybe they're just trying to get them in, like in the door a little bit later in the season, give their off season a little bit more length. But overall, it's still about the same amount of practice time that you're getting in with the team. Really, as a fan, doesn't it affect us too much other than we're not going to get some of these fun reports that we're going to talk about today as early in the off season. But yeah, overall, I don't think it's going to really hurt the players or, anything like that.
Word. All right. Do you guys want to start talking about our most impactful offseason additions?
I like it.
Yeah,
Duke, you
let's
wanna
get
you
to
wanna
it.
go first?
All right, yeah. So yeah, I separated these into draft, trade, and free agent acquisitions. The easiest one and quickest one is the draft acquisitions for me. It was the top three quarterbacks. Um, like I mean, you can debate it how you want, and not to take away from the other positions and great players that were drafted, but Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. These are the guys who, in theory, should have the biggest impact like over their teams over the course of the next 3 to 5 years. I don't think I really need to get into it too much more than that. I think it's a pretty basic concept. Hopefully, it goes good for those guys. Minus the Patriots, they can continue to be bad. That's fine. Then moving backwards from that, in the trade department, I'd say is kind of the most complex of the three because it kind of goes in two directions. Up at the top, I have that Diggs trade with him going to Houston and 2025 second coming back to Buffalo the next year, and there's also the dead cap to be considered in there. And I'm a little bit biased right now as a Bills fan, but kind of seeing how some of like these other moves have gone, and Nico Collins getting his extension today, and then the Texans kind of they renegotiated the deal with Diggs, so it's really just a 1-year deal.
Exactly.
I think that's absolutely crazy to be getting a second round pick back for a 31-year-old receiver, which is on essentially a 1-year deal. You can also say yes, the Bills are getting $34 million in dead cap this year, and that's also part of it. But looking forward, they've pretty much already reset their wide receiver room, and it's going to be a question mark. I think the big question mark for the Bills is what's the bigger question mark, the safety depth or the wide receiver room? And I've seen people kind of debating those two. For me, as a Bills fan, I'd say the safety depth is more concerning for me because I feel like the ball's going to get distributed in the wide receiver room. Like who is
you don't have Josh Allen on defense. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like
we are getting Matt Milano back.
That's true. Great player for sure. It's just like when you have Josh Allen, you could like live with a less than spectacular offensive like weapons core because he is a plus weapon himself. So definitely
He's a mismatch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I would definitely agree with you when you say kind of worrying a little bit more about their back end set, which they lost a lot of veteran type players. Like
hopefully Micah Hyde still might come back, but yes,
true.
it's just a big question mark. We're gonna have some youth back there, which is needed, but there's also a price that comes with that. So continuing to move forward because I got a number of things here. The Deontay Johnson trade. I really liked that one a lot for a fourth and a seventh. Deontay Johnson Deontay Johnson and a seventh for a fourth. I like that one for both sides a little bit more for Carolina because of what they need at that moment. And then just going right off of that, the Justin Fields trade for Pittsburgh here. This is a depth piece, we think. Maybe question mark.
Yeah,
we got him for a steal. I mean, this guy was going into last year a top 10 quarterback of the future.
Yeah,
that wasn't a hot take. That was who he was.
Off what you're saying too. Yeah, I also have Deontay and Justin in the top 2 of my 3. Luckily, I got a couple other backups here for when I'm up. But I agree. The Deontay one was just the Panthers sent a 6th and got Deontay in a 7th back.
Okay, there you go.
That's insane value for a guy that's 27 years old right now. Great route runner, going to be a friend of Bryce Young, who clearly needed guys to get clear space before making the decision to throw the ball. He threw the ball away at one of the highest rates in the NFL last year. And I feel like it's frustrating because in the college tape, he showed so much ability to anticipate a wide receiver getting open. He didn't show that in the NFL. He had to have the guy open, like college open in the NFL to throw him the ball. Deontay's been an elite route runner. I'll pull up the reception perception for him, but He's been an elite route runner for the past few years, and it's going to be one of those guys that allows him to see the throw to make the throw, you know? So I think that's massive for the amount they sent. Also had the Justin Fields one. And Tyler, what did you think about the Justin Fields trade?
I mean, I still think the Patriots should have been all in on that. Like, all in on that. Even taking Drake May, like it having Justin Fields be your bridge guy is a lot more exciting than Jacoby Brissett being your bridge guy. But for the Steelers, I love it. I honestly think that there's a chance that he is the starter for them moving forward. Like I think that the Chicago organization and operation was kind of crazy during Fields' first 2-3 years. Like last year, they stabilized a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
But that Steelers organization's always been very
consistent,
legitimate. Like that, Mike Tomlin held Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown back and made them seem like normal people for about 7 years. As soon as both of them left, absolute nut jobs. Nut jobs, bro.
The wheels came off.
Antonio Brown's putting God knows what on his Instagram story.
Yo, he wiles out.
I'm pretty sure he has someone that runs his social media, honestly. Like
the one I'm referring to was
maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that's him.
I don't know what we can say on these channels right now, but it was him hooking up with a girl live on
Say
IG.
whatever you want.
Like craziness, man. But really quick, just touch back on the Deontay Johnson reception perception. We got the routes run. I have only seen Green as far as rookie evaluation goes. Rome Odunze was the first wide receiver to do this in reception perception history. And this has been going back at least 5 years now. But does not have a single route on the route tree that he ran at below average success rate. 81st percentile success rate against man, 82nd against zone, 85th against press. And he's a smaller dude. He's just one of these guys that knows how to get open. I feel like, with the team that he's been on, having pretty putrid quarterback play the last couple of years, the perception of him is down overall. But I think he is going to help an NFL team a ton, and especially a quarterback that really needs to see that step up in year 2 in Bryce Young.
Yeah, no, I agree a lot with that. So Boogie, did you do all of yours? You guys did
no, I know. I got about halfway through. No, I wanted to let him go though, because I had been talking for a second. So I'll try and rattle the rest of it off here. Yeah, I got through my trades. I said Diggs trade, Deontay Johnson trade, Justin Fields trade. So my free agency acquisitions, this is my last segment here, that moved the needle the most for me were Saquon Barkley to the Eagles, Derrick Henry to the Ravens, and Kirk Cousins to the Falcons.
Yep. I like all of those.
For sure.
Any follow up on that, or you
I was trying to go. Yeah, I was just trying to go quick there.
No, it's okay. We're good.
Yeah, but I mean the running backs are the ones who always move the needle, at least in the offseason. Like those are the guys who, like, in theory, should make such a difference. And I think for Saquon especially, man, I think Saquon's one of like the biggest winners. If you have him in Dynasty, which I have one share of in one of my teams, seeing him go from the Giants to the Eagles and being behind that offensive line, you're really happy if he's on your team. You're really upset if he's on your rival's team. Same thing goes for Derrick Henry. It's just the fact that he's got about 100,000 more miles on the engine.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, all right, now he's in the ideal system. He should stay healthy, right? Because Baltimore running backs always stay healthy. That's what they do every year.
Yeah. It's gonna be right.
Anyways, Derrick Henry, he's already got a gold jacket. Not going to say anything bad about the guy, but hope he stays healthy in that way, in that very cursed Baltimore running back room. And Kirk Cousins, the quarterback was the issue there, and so then they had an issue and they doubled down on it.
I guess so.
So you can either the quarterback is not the issue exactly. I mean, I guess kind of is now, but kind of isn't. I don't know. That's a topic that I'm not exactly getting into. But Kirk Cousins is a quarterback who, if you line him up next to Bryce Young and Baker Mayfield and Derek Carr, like this is a guy who's going to give you an opportunity to win your division.
Yeah, definitely. And
Totally.
to touch on like your Saquon point too, he goes from last year's third ranked run blocking offensive line, according to PFF, to the third best in Philadelphia. It is going to be so nice to see that guy behind an actual offensive line. It's going to be able to like
getting up to the second and third level routinely.
Yeah, exactly. Rather than like shake and bake 3 or 4 guys
Just to get to back to the first or second level.
Yeah,
you know,
that makes a lot of sense.
You hate seeing that with running backs too, because like there's a number of really good running backs in this league who every year are just like they're getting the ball and they make the first guy miss just to get back to the line of scrimmage, and it's like very unfortunate. And then I've seen Saquon, and when we were talking about Le'Veon Bell, when Le'Veon Bell was with the Jets, that's who he was. He made a lot of really nice plays just to gain 2 or 3 yards.
No, that's a great point too. He was a guy known for patience, but when every defensive lineman starting to make progress, the more you wait, that's only working against you.
Remember when everybody was hyped and drafted him in the first round and he never played a game that year?
Oh, man.
That shit was wild, bro. Yeah. Wild.
That was tough.
Throwing daggers in everybody's seasons. Just no worries. Yeah, I like your list a lot. So what I didn't really do draft ones because we've been kind of talking about the draft.
We've been talking draft a lot. Yeah, I just
which is fine.
Just wanted to cover all my bases there.
No, for sure. So the ones that I picked, I did Danielle Hunter going to the Texans in a massive move for them. You're pairing him with Will Anderson on a defense led by now I'm forgetting his name. Damn it. D'Amico Ryans, like that pairing, like you could possibly get 45 sacks from them this year together.
Yeah.
Just those two guys, 45 sacks, which would be ridiculous. That's the high end for sure. But you're definitely getting 30 sacks between the two of them. And you're giving CJ Stroud like a strong defense to be paired with. And I just think a lot of people weren't really talking about that in their like slew of moves, getting Mixon, getting Stephon Diggs. They just re-signed Nico Collins today for 3 years, $72 million, 52 guaranteed. I did bad math, but Dan came in and did good math. So it's right around 17.3 million. So guaranteed a year, which is a great price point for him with the market, how it's kind of unfolding. My second player is actually Trey White going to the Los Angeles Rams. If he's healthy, if he's like ready to go, that's a massive improvement on that secondary unit of last year. I know you lost Aaron Donald, but you bring in him, you bring in Cameron Curl, you bring in Darius Williams from Jacksonville. Like you have good, solid young players on your defensive line. Now, if Trey White can kind of be the guy, maybe not the all-pro that he was, but if he could be like an all-star type of player, like Pro Bowl type of, I know Pro Bowl doesn't mean anything, but like let's pretend like this was like 15 years ago and like that type of Pro Bowl player, maybe not all pro, but like still extremely serviceable. Yeah. That's a massive piece of that defense, and Sean McVay is like tinkering with his lineup, and I can never count that team out. So I like a lot of the things they did. They really saw that they had a secondary issue and attacked it. Then my third one kind of pairs with yours of Kirk Cousins, Bahookie, but Zach Robinson. It's Zach Robinson's my probably biggest offseason addition. That Falcons offense has so much potential that Arthur Smith was just pissing into a trash can. Like, I don't know how you look at those players and then design plays around Jonnu Smith or Cordero Patterson. Like, get out of my face, bro. Get out of my face. All right.
It still blows my mind.
Drake London should be getting 160 targets. Yeah, I mean, what's it called? Jake London should be getting like 160 targets. Kyle Pitts should be getting 125 targets. Bijan should be getting 100 targets out the backfield and 250 carries. Like, use that guy. Use these players that you've spent massive draft capital on. You know what I mean? So, just seeing the Falcons go from the old curmudgeony man telling kids to get off their lawn to like the hot, hip, new dude probably ripping a vape in the locker room type of guy. Like that's the type of shit I want to see on that offense because they have the players to do it. Like Drake London is a better version of Puka Nacua. Kyle Pitts is like 15 Tyler Higbees put together, and Bijan Robinson's like 2 feet taller than Kyron Williams and has more speed. Like everything that they were doing in Los Angeles, they could potentially do with better players in Atlanta. So
what could go wrong?
A lot of things. Watch. Probably everything will go wrong.
We all need Atlanta to blow. Yeah, we all need Atlanta to blow up just so we have even more crap to talk about Arthur Smith.
It's funny because this show airs like on an Atlanta radio station too, and does pretty well.
Atlanta puked on themselves right when I needed them to, and I'll never forget it. 28-3, one of the best nights ever.
They really appreciate our Arthur Smith slander out in Atlanta.
Yeah, Bahookie saw me that night. I was drinking that grape juice. Remember?
In that division, they could have done so much the last 2-3 years. And, just because of mismanagement, they did not. So, I'm here for it. I'm all here for the Arthur Smith hate.
Yeah, we're always willing to take a couple extra seconds or minutes to take time to diss on Arthur Smith.
And I hope Arthur Smith feels that in some way, even if it's not getting to him directly. I hope he feels that energy because an entire city hates him.
He just like looked at the window and was like, "What was that?" He felt it in the wind, like getting shit on.
Why does my heart feel heavy,
bro? I can accept 1 week of Bijan Robinson not getting the football because he was quote unquote sick, not feeling well. I can't allow that in week 15 against the Panthers, though. Getting 0.1 points. That lost me 2 home league championships. Dude, that's $3,000 for me. That was $3,000 that I missed out on.
Wow. That's the bigger league that I was
between those two. Like, shit. I'm still mad. I'll be mad about that for the rest of my life. That's another plaque on the trophy that I don't have.
Yeah.
God gets me fired up.
There should be like a second place trophy that just lists the reason why you lost, and you have to post that front and center in your house, like,
bro. Because
number one loser.
The year before that, I didn't play Jalen Waddle instead of Devontae Adams in the semifinals. And I played Adams. He had like 6 points against Pittsburgh.
Oh, and that was that Jalen Waddle had that big touchdown against Buffalo. I saw it.
Third play of the game. Third play of the game. I'm like, there's my dub running down the field.
The Dolphins still lost that game like they do every game that actually matters.
For sure. But like
your W is running away as fast as Jalen Waddle's sub 4-4
back-to-back years that happened. If I had played Waddle instead of Bijan this past year, would have won. Why am I taking Jalen Waddle out of my lineup late? I don't know. Somebody stop me.
Devontae Adams is a pretty good backup option.
Yeah, he's like a rotational piece for me. Like
you said 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't even 80.
2 years ago, yeah.
No, it was Derek Carr, and it was just like the one flop game Adams had like all year. I was just sitting there like, you got to be kidding me,
bro. That's so hard.
It's okay. It's okay. My team's prime. We're good.
You're alive.
We got AJ Brown. We got St. Brown. We have Jalen Waddle, Bijan. Like, we got pieces.
Oh, those are big pieces. Those are nice.
Yeah, we're good. Bahookie made a strong come up in that league. He took on an orphan that was a mess. He made the playoffs last year. Didn't you beat me? No, Poss beat me in the playoffs. And you put up a strong fight. Huh? You did beat me in the regular season. Yes. I remember that game. That one pissed me off quite nicely.
No, I inherited this team like a couple years ago that had zero running backs. Like not one running back that was serviceable on the roster. And I now have Jahmyr Gibbs and Brees Hall.
Okay.
And I traded Travis Kelce away for like a terrible running back, but I got a first round pick, which is Achane, and I picked up Kyron Williams and Jalen Warren off of waivers when they were undrafted free agents.
That is insane to turn back.
And so I traded. So tell me what you think about this trade. I traded Kyron Williams for and a second round pick for Deontay Johnson and a first round pick because I was
tough for me. I would personally
I needed a number one. I needed another receiver. My receiver depth is terrible.
I get that. And you got the first time. Where do you know where the first is going to land now already?
Like 106.
Okay, 106 is solid. Is it
one quarterback? Yeah, one quarterback. No tight end premium. It's about as a vanilla league as you could be in.
And that's perfectly
fine. You've been doing it for a while though.
But I needed another like starting tier wide receiver. I had a lot of depth, and I don't know. Kyron Williams, I grew up a Notre Dame fan, so I knew when he was coming up, like this was a good guy to stash, before anyone knew about him.
Yeah.
But he's already had injury issues, and I kind of question what his long-term durability is going to be.
That's true for sure. Like, I mean,
I just wish you traded him to anybody else besides Corcoran. Again.
He's the only one who came up with an offer for me when I asked for one.
God damn it!
I
already blew my payload on Bijan. All right, I don't have enough.
He got mad at me because I traded Kelce to this guy because I needed running backs. I had no running backs to start a team.
Well, dude, I had Kelce first.
I said, "Hey, I need running backs." This is the only guy who came up with an offer for me, and I said, and he's like, "Hey, I need running backs," and I'm like, "Hey, I have running backs. I need a wide receiver," and then I got a wide receiver and a first. So I don't hate it.
It was just the fact that I traded Travis Kelce to the team that he.
And then I turned around and gave it to him. Yeah,
I was like, "Go to the island of misfit toys. Don't bother me for the rest of your career." And Bahookie gets in the league and immediately trades him to my
arch enemy,
biggest competition. Like,
I feel your pain. I feel your pain. Bahookie, I get what you're doing though. You got a team that needs a big.
It's not your fault. Like,
I had to take my old assets. I had to try and flip, and for me that was Travis Kelce and DeAndre Hopkins. We're like the two older guys who had some value then. Now my tight ends, I have Evan Ingram, Jake Ferguson, and Cole Kmet. So I'm okay.
He's rebuilt the team very well. I like
that is insane. Like
for that.
On the running
they just happen to keep stabbing me in the back. Like it's not your fault,
man. Yeah, because like you said, you got Brees Hall, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Kyron Williams.
I traded Kyron Williams. I have Achane and Jalen Warren waiting in the wings though.
Okay, so Achane then. So Brees Hall right now, according to Fantasy Pros, number 2 running back. Jahmyr Gibbs, number 3. Achane, number 8. Kyron was number 9, and you flipped him for Deontay and a first.
In a first.
And 106 in, a 1 QB league. You got
Jonathan Brooks, maybe?
Yeah, right. That'd be solid. So like Marvin Harrison Jr., then you start getting into some ground, but I feel like most people would have Xavier Worthy.
Or I trade 106 and 110 up to make a swing at Neighbors.
102.
I don't know your depth.
Chris is not moving off the 101, so good luck with that. I get Devontae Adams over here if you want to come get him.
I already tried.
I like that, but like
Devontae Adams is just a little too old for me right now. Is kind of how I feel.
Yeah, I know.
Right? He's a contender team for sure. I mean, like after Xavier Worthy, probably Brian Thomas. So, like you were saying, Tyler, probably like Jonathan Brooks. Maybe Ladd McConkey if you're into him. No, I think overall I still would take Kyron Williams, just knowing what his ceiling is in the season. But it's not a bad trade given your team circumstance, and he still got three studs.
Because my top wide receivers were like Christian Kirk and I can't even remember who the other one was. My wide receivers just were not good, and I needed
I do
another
think
one.
Kirk's underrated right now. He's
Yeah,
still like 27, 28 years old.
Tyler
The
tried
only
to poach him from me. I remember early on, and I was like, no.
other
He's like, this is like one of my one serviceable pieces right now.
wheeling and dealing, got to do it.
Oh, I
Yeah,
stay
no,
dealing. I stay slinging. That's how I.
Tyler trades more than anyone I've ever met.
Me and you have sent a
Easy.
bunch of trade offers to each other, but
We'll get it done. We'll get it done eventually.
We'll get it done
Don't worry.
eventually. We'll get it done
We just
eventually.
haven't
But I
gotten
think
there yet.
we're both, intelligent enough in the fantasy area where we're trying to, getting a little extra off these trades in the midseason.
Kind of each other.
I got T-Rex hands in these trades, man. I'm be like, I need more. I need more.
I like that. All right, am I up for
what were we talking about? Yeah, holdout talk. Shit, like totally forgot what we were talking about.
Yeah, we're on a podcast talking about action things that are not art.
The fantasy podcast is tomorrow, but this is
That's
a
right.
football podcast, so it makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Stay tuned. Watch Fantasy Rant tomorrow.
I'll be there.
I love it. Yes, sir. You will. All right. So for the three, and I did it like Bahookie did. I saw your comment in there, and I was like, all right, I like that. I like the breakdown. So I'll try to run through them fairly quickly. I more so went for value across the trades, free agent additions, and like where you could get these draft picks. So I thought Sam Howell being sent to the Seahawks. The Seahawks give up a third and a fifth, but they get back a fourth and a sixth. So they moved back one round in two different rounds to get Sam Howell. Obviously, they just have Geno Smith there right now. Geno Smith's on the tail end of his contract. I don't think, even though he was serviceable and helped them get to a playoff berth, we all know he's not the guy that's going to take them to the next level. Sam Howell showed in Washington that he can spread the ball. He had Terry McLaurin. John Dotson didn't do much. Curtis Samuel did what he could do when he's healthy. But if you take a look at those three wide receivers and compare them to the three wide receivers in Seattle, I would love to go see Sam Howell spread the ball around between DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and JSN on top of an athletic tight end and Noah Fant. I think that he could do a lot in that offense, and realistically, just trading up in two later rounds, not going to hurt the Seahawks long term. So big positive for them. You guys took my other two, so I'll bring up the two backups I had. I got Keenan Allen going to the Bears for a fourth round pick. Ordinarily, I probably wouldn't look at a trade with a guy that is this old. But when you're bringing in a new quarterback, one of the best things you can do is get a guy like we were talking about in Deontay. That's a route runner. Keenan's going to come in there. He's going to show crazy open space in that short to intermediate range. And when the Bears made this trade, they did not know that Odunze was going to drop to them at 9. So if you didn't know that, then having DJ Moore and Keenan Allen to rely on, along with, Cole Kmet, pass catcher, and DeAndre Swift, that's going to go a long way for a quarterback. And I thought that they did a great job of going against the grain. As a Browns fan, I know what it's like to just draft a quarterback with no help around him and then blame it on the quarterback at the end of a season or two. And, it's not his fault, realistically. You didn't have any talent to throw the ball to. So Keenan going to the Bears, I think, was huge in terms of an NFL standpoint, not even necessarily, what some of us are looking for in fantasy. And then this would have been my fifth round, or my fifth of the top three. But L'Jarius Sneed to the Titans, I do love it. Going for a third round pick and having to sign him to a massive contract, definitely takes a little bit off of the value that they got in that trade. However, getting a top easily top 10 cornerback and arguably a top 5, top 3 cornerback in the league right now. For a third round pick, that is incredible. So, and they really needed the help in that secondary bad. Um, did you guys have anything you want to say about one of those 3 guys before I move
No,
on to the next?
those are all good points too. I like that you went over to the defensive side of the ball too.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is the only time I get to talk about defense with my only other podcast being fantasy related. So
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to talk some defense with you boys.
For sure.
For the biggest free agent signings, again, these are kind of value based. But Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh, 1 year, 1.2 mil.
Not fair.
Going right, going from
Yeah,
Kenny Pickett.
to get a starting quarterback at that price point is just
It's
absurd.
insane, and I can't believe more people didn't jump on either Russ Wilson at that price
Yeah, no,
or
I
Justin Fields
I
at
didn't
that
even
trade
really
price.
think about that one, but you're right. I was also on the Justin Fields wagon too, and
I am too. I do think that Fields eventually takes over. I know
That hurt
that
a lot of my teams.
and with that being said, how much do the Steelers really have to lose? Sure, they made a promise to Russell Wilson for $1 million that he's their starter going forward.
dude, yeah. It's so
You know
funny
how much
because like
$1 million means in the NFL at the
right,
quarterback position?
right. It's like the longevity of a
I got that much.
well-ran
That's like I got that
franchise.
much in my pocket right now. You know, like
Yeah,
like
dude. Yeah,
when you're
it's
talking about
insane.
quarterbacks, like
The
that's
fact
not.
that they got him for that cheap, and then the fact that, like, they're telling him at the beginning, like you're saying, you're gonna be our guy moving forward. Already, there's talks about it being a quarterback competition. Of course, they're just gonna let the best guy play. That's the way they've always done things there. I think it's a good move on their part to get a veteran for that cheap, and then also get a unproven guy or, a 6th round pick that could become a 4th if Justin Fields plays 51% of the snaps. Either way, even if it's for a 4th, there was talks last season about Justin Fields getting traded for at least a 2nd plus. So grabbing him at this value is insane. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, the quarterback room, in comparison to Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph, is a insane boost to what everybody else around them is going to do with better quarterbacks. All right, so we got Zach Moss was one of the other guys that I put in there. It's just a 2-year, $8 million deal. Zach Moss, not sexy. No one's looking at this thinking big things. I don't think that Zach Moss looked that much worse, if any worse, than Joe Mixon last year. So when you got a guy in Joe Mixon that's going to demand a bag, and you saw what the Houston Texans just brought him in for,
What do you think, Tyler?
I think you know what I think about Zach Moss.
Yeah, and how did that take work out for you last year?
The first 4 games, not great. The next 8 or 9, he looked exactly how he looked in Buffalo, weak as shit. Go look at it. When Taylor was out, he did well. That's great. He had a couple of hot games, and then when Taylor came back,
when he was the feature back,
I just don't. I think Chase Brown's a way better player. He actually didn't require an injury to get on the field. He played his way onto the field.
All right.
And when
well,
he got onto the field,
you put any running back on the same roster as Jonathan Taylor and tell them they wouldn't need an injury to get on the field. Okay,
he had an open backfield and couldn't beat out Devin Singletary in Buffalo.
Yeah,
right, but we're talking about last year. I agree that before that he looked like hot garbage, but the fact that he stepped into this role and put up absolute numbers
and had like 100 in that week 4 game, the last game before, when he kind of fell off, he had 142 yards.
He had big performances. I'm not buying that happens again. I think that is the outlier, not who he is.
I'm really, really surprised by this take, but hey,
I'm sure you are. I'm taking Chase Brown in almost every league I can get him in. And
Lamb has been what were the precise
career
words
plotter.
Career plotter.
Yep.
Is Zach Moss.
I looked like a fool for the first 5 weeks last year, and then for the next 8,
said
it
last
looked
year.
better.
He's seen it again this year. He's sticking to his guns.
See, the thing is,
Damn
so like,
straight.
I don't disagree long term. He is like just going to be going from team to team doing what he can. But
Well,
it's a 2-year, $8 million deal. If he lives out the entirety of that contract, then he's going to be 28 years old by the time he gets off of it. No one's going to be trying to sign 28-year-old Zach Moss to a starting role. But I was looking it up, Tyler, because you said it. Even in after he was done with his like main stage with the Colts, week 6 through week 9, he had 170 rushing yards on 43 attempts. That's 4 yards a clip. Nothing special, but during that time, picked up another 2 touchdowns on the ground. Picked up about 10 receptions through the air. And that's in a backup role to Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, he did what a backup should do, which I think he's going to come in and be the backup again for Chase Brown. I do think that's bold. When you have a dude like Joe Mixon and you fight your way onto the field, and when you get on the field, you make big chunk plays, and then they let go of they trade Joe Mixon after that and bring in a dude who, he's probably going to get more of the in between the tackles, maybe some more of the goal line work, but big plays, flashiness, explosive yardage gains, I think that's all going to be on Chase Brown. And I think
agree. Those are just hard to predict.
No, I agree. It's just we each have our guys that we like, and we each have our guys we don't like. And those two, one of the guys that I really like is paired with one of the guys I really don't like. So it's like one of those, you know what I mean?
Creates easy takes. I know,
and I respectfully disagree, and that's okay. Fine. And that's what we're here for.
I love football because we can do that, and it's totally fine.
And Tyler, I know you got finished with your projections. I'm about halfway through right now, so it'll be interesting to see like where we finish on those 2 players. I like Chase. I do like Chase Brown, and I didn't give Zach Moss like 80% of the carries or something crazy, but I do think that it's going to be that great like thunder lightning combo.
I have Chase Brown as my running back 21, and I have Zach Moss as my RB 39.
So I can't give like finishing numbers because I don't have everybody done yet. But I have Zach Moss with about he's got 50%, 54% of the rushing share, with Chase Brown taking 30, and then it's much more split with the receptions. So I do like Chase Brown. I still got Chase Brown this year at 167 points in PPR. Right now, that's good for RB16. I think it's definitely going to be a bit different than what you have. But either way, they shored up the running back room at a really cheap cost. Really cost efficient for the Bengals. Don't have to worry about Joe Mixon and a crazy contract. And then the third guy that I had for free agent signings, Patrick Queen going to Pittsburgh. They always utilize those top end, uber athletic linebackers. Not only do they get to add him to their team, but they take him away from the Ravens.
From Baltimore,
that's incredible. And the league isn't based around linebackers like it once was, but getting him for 3 years, 17 mil for a guy who is going to do a way more than expected in coverage against tight ends, that's going to go a long way in today's NFL as well. So those are my 3 guys, free agents. Since we kind of ran into some arguments and stuff for the other ones, I'll sprint through these draft picks. 9th overall, Rome Odunze.
One other thing about
go for it.
Yeah, you said Patrick Queen, and I'm a defensive guy too, so I love talking defense. And you talked about matching up with tight ends, spying the quarterback too. Honestly, is really becoming like one of the underrated like things that like as we're seeing like the quarterback position evolve and the Josh Allens and Lamar Jacksons and Jalen Hurts of the world, like you got to be able to have someone who can match them, 100%. like physically and mentally. No, Patrick Queen is one of those real middle linebackers. He's not Fred Warner,
right?
But
certified sicko.
Yeah, certified sicko. And you were just talking about Lamar. He's in the division.
26.
What'd you say?
Fred Warner is 26.
Oh, wow. I also did think that he was older than that for some reason. But yeah, you were just talking about, he's got to go up against Lamar. They're gonna see him twice a year. I'm about to look it up right now, but I feel like the Ravens have the Steelers number in the past few years. Let's
I
see
feel like
here.
it's pretty split, honestly.
I've seen Lamar throw
It
some
is, yeah, no, you
Lamar's
guys are right.
thrown
It
some
is
fourth
actually pretty
quarter
split.
interceptions, some red zone interceptions against the Steelers. That's a team that he likes to Lamar against. And
I was
This is true.
wrong. Steelers have won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Lamar
7.
blows it against the Steelers every time, like in the
Yeah,
regular season.
Steelers won 7 out of the last
This is one
10.
of my big
And
issues with Lamar and Josh being compared, because like I'm just tired of it, honestly, because like Lamar does not get the due criticism that he deserves a lot of the time, because he blows big games at the end all the time. But he's got these MVPs and whatever else, okay? But he crumbles, man, routinely. And Josh has his issues, I'm not gonna say that Josh is perfect. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Tom Brady. But he does not crumble the way Lamar does, specifically in the fourth quarter, like with the game on the line in the red zone. That's when Lamar throws the most interceptions.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I don't disagree with you at all.
Yeah. And so I'll blow through the draft picks really quick. 9th overall, Chicago Bears draft Rome Odunze. Just insane that they get him even that late, which is not crazy late in other years for a wide receiver. But we were talking about it. Load up your rookie quarterback with some offensive talent. Let's see this guy shine. You get a chance to see what he's worth really early in his contract. It's going to open, if you see early on in the first 2 years that this guy can't get it done, regardless of the talent you put around him, move on rather than waiting into the third, fourth, fifth year sometimes for like some other teams. 22nd overall, Philadelphia Eagles get Quinyon Mitchell. They also get Cooper DeJean at 40th.
Sick draft. Sick draft.
Dude, I actually like the Eagles as my NFC team. Them and the Packers are the two that I root for in the NFC. And
Lions had a sick draft too. Both of them
Lions
got
had a sick draft. I'm just to the point where I'm almost like hating on Howie Roseman.
So
Yeah,
lucky. Because players just fall to them.
It's kind of like the Danny Ainge effect. People just like are pissed that they made so many like that one big move that he made. Everybody's no, he's just trying to swindle people now. But like people are mad because he does such a good job at his job. Like
yeah, right, exactly, and that's
like why are you so good at that? Damn it!
I was just like I'm not a Bills fan or anything, even though I live in Western New York. I just hated the Patriots over time because they were too fucking good. So like, after a while, they're just too good at their job. I don't know how this defense doesn't succeed. All they really needed was some help in the secondary, and they got literally the two best cornerbacks in the draft. And then the last guy I'll bring up is Ladd McConkey. Just got to talk about him. This is my boy. I know a lot of people were, not as into him as I am pre-draft. Even pre-draft, I had him as my wide receiver 3 above Brian Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. is an athletic freak. He can absolutely sprint by anybody and get the job done. However, in the NFL, especially with today's coverages, primarily being a cover 2 shell to like take away the big play, they do it against quarterbacks with big arms like Herbert. You're going to have to hit on the underneath. McConkey is a technician at route running at the short to intermediate range. Yeah, so much separation. He does a ton after the catch. He's one of the few guys of all of the wide receivers in this year's draft class. He made the most guys miss on the second defender missed the most amount of times. Above 50% of his charted routes and reception perception, he made 2 defenders miss. That's going to go a long ways. And on top of it is just the scheme fit. They got Josh Palmer. He's not a slot guy. They got QJ. He sucks. Still not a slot guy. They got their 2 outside guys. Throw Ladd into the slot. And Ladd's not even only a slot guy. If QJ sucks to the point where you need to throw Ladd outside, you can do that. Ladd was under 30%.
Probably put Brendan Rice outside first.
I like that. Brendan Rice was one of the highest rated run blockers in the draft class. think that's one of the reasons why a guy like Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh go out and get him. And I do think that this is just a perfect scheme fit, a scrappy guy that's going to pick up extra yards. And we've seen what Justin Herbert can do with the slot wide receiver. Let's let him play that Keenan Allen role and see what this guy turns into.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, shit, since both of you guys did draft takes, I'll do a quick three. I mean, you already kind of touched on it. I mean, Drake May is going to be a stud, I think. Like this kid looks good in OTAs. He's really taking to the footwork kind of coaching that he's getting. But what he's doing that I don't think Mac ever really embraced here is he's trying to teach other people as well. Like you can hear him talking to Javon Baker and Jalen Polk could be like, no, you need to come like 2 more yards in on that cut when you're coming back to me. Like I like to put the ball here. You kind of like to like move there. Like let's get on the same page. Like if you're going there, I'll know you're there and we'll make that connection. Like just kind of the energy that he's bringing to the team, just over like even in like marketing, the PR department, just kind of having a hope again. Like watching him throw the ball too, it's just like, damn, man, there's some zip on that shit. Like, whoa. Step away from the homerism over here. I really like Jermaine Burton on the Bengals, especially with these 2 holdouts possibly. Like Jamar Chase getting his bag. I think the Bengals are silly for not giving T. Higgins a bag before. Like Nico Collins, that deal would have been perfect for T. Higgins.
Yeah.
But now you have to pay him more, I feel like, than Nico Collins because I think he's produced a little more. You know what I mean? Like, so sure. it baffles me when like people know these other extensions are coming and they don't work hard. Like they work hard, but they don't get the job done. And then you're just looking at paying more money. Like every time an extension comes down the line, your guy's going to want more than that. Like it's just like, damn.
It's not their money they're negotiating with.
No, for sure. It's just a matter of seeing where things like, all right, Daniel Jones got $40 million. It's like, bro, like I'm way better than Daniel Jones. Like, where's my bread? And they're like, I don't know if I want to give you that. But yeah, I think Jermaine Burton is like perfect for the Bengals because of like, I don't know. I think he had some off the field question marks, and I think Cincinnati's a place where he can go and kind of resolve that and just be a good player. You're tied to Joe Burrow. You're in a high flying offense. Tyler Boyd's not there. Like I think he has a real opportunity. And another one that I would say that I really enjoyed was probably Terry and Arnold going to the Lions. Massive need. They're kind of filling one of like the few things that they really, really needed on this roster. And if he can come out and like show up like one of those top cornerbacks that we think he could be, that Detroit team's dangerous and they'll be right in the mix again come January.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. Just to touch on your Jermaine Burton take too, is like the Bengals are giving themselves ammo to talk T. Higgins down from that. Like, hey, listen, we already got your replacement. If you want to stay with this team, then you're going to have to take a little bit friendlier of a deal. I do agree with you, though. I think T did deserve that bag. Nico Collins, we were just talking about it. Before last season, had the prior 2 seasons, nothing above 500 yards. Jumps up to 80 receptions, 1,297 yards, and 8 touchdowns. T. Higgins has done that. He hasn't gotten quite that many yards, but he's gotten 900 or more 3 times in a row. Just didn't get the injury luck this last season. Was well on his way to doing so. And
fair to note that Nico Collins was playing with Jeff Driscoll and David Mills beforehand. Yeah, Davis Mills. So, fair. I get your comparison there. Quickly though,
Bengals quarterback before Joe Burrow.
Andy Dalton.
It had to have been, right? That's what I thought of too.
It was Andy Dalton. Okay. Real quick though, I have Jermaine Burton getting a 16% target share this year, 104 targets, 58% catch percentage, so 61 receptions. This is high, but kind of aligns with what I think they're going to use him for in his college tape. 17 yards per reception. on those 61 receptions. So he breaks 1,000 yards and gets 5 touchdowns.
Wow.
I
That's
have him
spicy.
at wide receiver 45, which doesn't seem like that high, but if you're getting these type of like these are like week winning numbers in fantasy for a rookie in the 3rd round.
You say he has
You know,
1,000 yards and he's wide receiver 45?
that's what it says. Yeah, that's what I
That
have it
is
as.
insane. How many wide receivers you got over 1,000 yards, man?
I mean, some have more touchdowns, some have more catches. Like
Fair. That's
61
fair.
receptions isn't like a ton. You know what I mean? He's just
Right.
making more chunk plays. And I mean, Burrow in this offense definitely alludes itself to that. So it's like, I
Yeah,
think
no,
he's going
he
to be
can.
that field stretch. Like him and Higgins are going to be on the outside, and I think they're going to move Chase inside. So like,
Okay.
where I kind of see that him getting that like larger depth of target. And
Yeah.
that's kind of something he did in Alabama too. He stretched the field really well for them. He has good long speed. But it
Yeah.
might be a hot take. It might be a hot take. But like I have Chase wide receiver 4. I have Higgins wide receiver 31, and Burton wide receiver 45.
Okay.
So
Okay. Yeah.
all of
And
them are useful. You know.
I can absolutely see Jamar kicking in a little bit more than we've seen him. We haven't seen him above a 23.5% slot rate. And he's increased every year in the NFL. He went from 17 to 23 to 23.5. I could see that jumping if they use Jermaine on the outside. I do think that if Jermaine stays on the outside, he's likely to see a like very low reception percentage
I
on
have it
his
at
targets.
58%.
Right, yeah, and I'm around the same area. Yeah, I have him at 54%. I had him with an 11.5% target share. So I ended up with 76 targets, 41 receptions, 627 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah,
He's my wide receiver 38, only halfway through the league though.
true. I mean, I just like it also if Higgins moves, like
Skyrocket.
whoa.
Yeah.
But I think Chase in the slot, I think you're gonna look at something more like what CD Lamb did last year with Dallas,
Yep.
how they moved him around a lot more, probably like 30%
Yep.
in the slot. And just giving him those easy mismatches, bro. Just like getting him like
Yeah.
out in space, like free releases. Like you're not typically playing the best cornerback inside, so
Yeah.
I like that a lot. A third one for me is probably going to be shit. I just had Ben Sinnott. I think Ben Sinnott's going to crush there. They don't have another
Yeah.
tight end. He's going to start and in this offense. He's going to be like the forgotten guy that people don't really game plan for, and I think he's going to play really, really well this year. But yeah, we kind of ran a little long. Do we want to talk about the holdout
Holdout.
spot?
We
Yeah.
can push it into the next episode if you want.
I mean, Bahookie, you have like one landing spot for one of these holdouts you want to get
All
off your
right,
chest?
I'll do the funny one.
Go for it.
So the 4 that I had listed here, they're all pretty obvious. T. Higgins is at the top, is the number 1. Jay Jetta, and then I had Tua and Ayuk. So the funniest one I had was Tua. And a potential landing spot, I said Atlanta. Because they've already got two borderline starting quarterbacks with injury issues. Why not add a third?
It's so funny, bro. Clint would lose his mind.
Yeah, no, that would not be
I
good.
was laughing so hard as I
Oh,
wrote.
bro. That's so funny,
That would
man.
not be good. Dan, you want to get one quick in? Then we can get out of here.
For sure, yeah. I mean, the most talked about one is Brandon Ayuk. Right now, he's asking for an insane bag. I don't think that is going to align for him there. However, right now, the Steelers, in my opinion, need a wide receiver too. I like George Pickens in terms of his physical and athletic ability. I think Roman Wilson is a gritty guy that can get a job done. But I do think that Brandon Ayuk would make Roman Wilson an amazing 3 and George Pickens an amazing 2, with Ayuk taking over that lead role in comparison to, letting these guys play out their roles right now.
Yeah, I really want him to go to the Patriots. Still want him to go to the Patriots. Would be great.
Yes, I'd take that.
That'd be awesome. But probably not gonna happen. Probably not gonna happen. Sorry, I have Luca. I had Kyrie to get the first basket, and he got the first basket.
Oh, that's worth
So
celebrating.
now we just like I put it in a parlay because I didn't want to put like too much money on it because it was only plus 650. But
Only
I
plus
have
650.
yeah, dude. I like to make like I like to throw $5 on something and see like 100 at least. Like I don't like to anything more than that. I start geeking out.
So how often do you hit on those?
Decent. Like there's a decent enough hits that make like I'm probably up $500-600 like lifetime. Not too much, but like I've been able to bet consistently and take home some profits. But I
feel
need
that.
Dallas now in the over 111 or not 111 over 211 on the game. So
Okay.
if that happens, I'll win 120 off my $5 bet, and I got another one that's a little bit heftier.
I think you've hit the over more often than not in the playoff game so far, but I think that, taking Dallas in a 3-0 or like a 4-0 sweep when they're playing on, it's in Dallas. That gives you
It's
a
in
little bit of hope.
Dallas.
Yeah, it's in Dallas. So
We'll see.
yeah,
I mean, the biggest hurdle was the Kyrie first basket, and he hit it.
100%.
If he had hit his layup the other night, he stepped out of bounds. But I had a 5 to win 380 on him to hit a layup for the first shot, and he literally hit the layup, but stepped out of bounds in the baseline.
That's so frustrating, man.
I was quite upset. I was definitely yelling at my TV.
Me and you need to link up with the Gritty Gambler podcast because I go polar opposite of what you do. I generally throw like $50 bets on something that's like, negative 150. I'm like, okay, maybe
So you're gonna win what, like $60?
I mean, that's the smart
if
way.
it's negative 150, I'll win like $20.
You're also more likely to win when you bet unders too, like 60 unders hit like 61% of the time. I want to say throughout the entire NFL season for every single prop. It was like
with my luck, like I'm not like with my luck, I throw 50 on like a quote unquote lock, and I just lose my
people
50
who bet overs are generally more positive minded people.
Bahookie's getting into the psychology.
No, seriously, it's a real thing because just because you're thinking positive, like people are going to do better, like, and people who bet unders are usually more realistic and usually are more negative, but usually win their bets more often.
Well, I do the same thing. Like I
just hate like wanting not. I don't like watching people like. I hate when somebody scores. I'm like, damn.
Unders also sweat out the entire game. Overs you hit it and you're like, yes, we're drinking beers.
Right.
We're done.
We're done. Right, no. Unders you have to sweat the entire time, so they're way less fun.
Especially in football, bro. Unders, you're just like everything's looking great. Everything's looking great. All of a sudden, there's like 17 points scored in like the third quarter, and you're just like, ah,
right.
You're screaming. But actually, a little cheat code though, if you do like put an under on a game and you have 2 like anytime touchdown parlays, that's going to increase the odds. Like even if the number, like if you take the under at minus 110 instead of the over at minus 110, FanDuel's going to like calculate like, oh, there's only so many points scored in this under, and you're taking these 2 touchdowns. Like this is like it calculates that and increases your odds.
I love that too. I've done the same thing where I'm like, I'm going to take, over 8 rebounds for Goddard or whatever his fucking name is. And Gobert, whatever his goddamn name is. I don't like that guy anyways. But an over for 8 rebounds and an under for 13. If you pair them both together, then they realize like, oh, you got a narrow window to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel you. That's definitely a good strategy if you're confident in the amount of rebounds you're betting or what may it be. But
so we have hit fantasy rant, gritty gamblers, and fifth down territory on this show tonight, guys.
And you talk plenty of Patriots, so you got Gillette Gazette basically.
4 shows in one. What's up? Only went 4 minutes over. How are we? We're doing great. I really hope you guys enjoyed the show. That's kind of all we have for you. A little bit of ranting, a little bit of nonsense, a little bit of fantasy talk, some gambling, a little bit of NBA playoff action in the back half here. We had some of everything for anybody tonight. So I hope you tuned in. I hope you enjoyed it. And catch us next week, same time. Well, we were a little late today, but 7 o'clock next week we'll be on, figuring out something else to talk about as we kind of wade through these odds of the off season. But there's only 13 more Sundays till Scott Hansen says 7 hours of commercial free football.
Commercial free.
13.
I didn't know
13
that.
more Sundays is way better than like whatever 7 times 13 is. You know, or 91 days. 13 Sundays is better than 91 days. So go watch any of our stuff on our Stadium Rant YouTube channel. Go check out stadiumrant.com for all of our articles. We have other things going on our socials with interactive posts, polls, all these types of things. So check us out. Give us a follow. Give us a like. Give us a subscription. And we will give you great content. I hope you have a great night, everyone.